Hey, welcome to the video for articulation markings. This is a video where we're going to learn about the 5 different articulations that you see commonly in your music and demonstrate how to play them. What we're going to start with, as you can see right here, aside or next to me, are the 5 markings and what they're called. So we're just going to talk about each of the 5 and I'll give you a little demonstration. Starting with the slur, which is one that we're very familiar with. When you see 2 notes connected with the curvy line, that is a slur, unless it's 2 of the exact same pitch, and then we call it a tie. Sometimes students get those confused. So if you had, like, let's say you had a G, and then the next note was a G, and you had it connected with that marking, then that would be a tie, and you just simply hold the note, just sustain it. But if it's 2 different notes, let's say it's going from a G to an E, then you would slur those notes. Now, on most woodwinds and brass instruments, that would mean you simply move from one note to the next without retonguing the second note, okay? I have a trombone here just to demonstrate on a trombone what you would do on a slur. If you didn't tongue, you would end up with a glissando, and so you have to do what's called a legato tongue, where instead of going ta, you would go da or tha, are a couple of the most common ways to retongue the note on a slur. So slurred notes are going to sound like this. So they're very connected and smooth, of course, because we're not retonguing the notes. So that's a slur. Second one on here is the little dot that's either above or below the note, and that's called a staccato. Now, again, students sometimes confuse the dot right above or below a note with a dot that comes after the note. That's something different. When you have a dot after the note, you are actually adding value to the note. So that's more of a rhythmic marking. But if you see that dot directly above or below, that's called a staccato. And a staccato means to make the note separated. Now, sometimes we want it to be really short. Sometimes we want the note just to have space between that note and the next note. Kind of depends on the song, the tempo of the song, those kinds of things. But the main thing to remember is when you have a staccato, you want to separate the notes, like this. Kind of has a bouncy feeling to it, but you can definitely hear the separation in there with the staccato. The third marking on here is a dash, and that's called tenuto. Tenuto means to hold the note for its full value. It's basically the opposite of a staccato. Sometimes people think a tenuto means to hold the note longer than its value, and that's not true. It just means you simply want to connect the notes so there's no space between them other than the space it takes to tongue the note. Sometimes, again, students confuse a tenuto with a slur. Slur means you just simply connect the notes without retonguing the note at all. But when you have a tenuto, you do retongue the note. You just make sure the notes are very long, like this. And again, that's different than a slur, which sounds like this. It's not much difference there, but if you go back and compare those 2 examples I just gave you, you'll hear that those tenutos, I am starting the notes with a t, t. I'm tonguing with that 2 sound for each note. Now the fourth one on here, this one right here, is called an accent. The accent means you're going to give a little extra emphasis to the beginning of the note, or as I like to say, punch it. And when you do an accent, you kind of come out, the beginning of that note's going to be a little bit louder, all right? So you're actually just doing a regular tonguing pattern, but you're hitting that note harder like this. Hopefully you can hear how I'm tonguing those notes with a little extra accent emphasis. Punch it. And the last one on here is called a marcato. Marcato is a special kind of accent where you even hit the note harder and you really give it some emphasis, okay? The main thing to remember on both accents and marcatos, though, is to, after you hit them hard, to come back to whatever dynamic you're playing the song in. So you can have accents and marcatos when it's soft. So make sure that you come down to that soft. Let me give you a marcato at like maybe more of a mezzo forte, and then I'll do some marcatos when it's soft. So here's a marcato at a mezzo forte. And here's more of a marcato at a piano. Okay, so hopefully you can hear that difference there with the marcato being a little more emphasis than the accent. So again, these are all articulation symbols, and these are 5 of the most common ones. So hopefully that helps you make that difference. And now our challenge for you is to try to not only notice those in your music, your band music and your book music, but then to also try to play them correctly. So thank you.